Culture is the character and personality of your organization. It's what makes your business unique and is the sum of its values, traditions, beliefs, interactions, behaviors, and attitudes. Positive workplace culture attracts talent, drives engagement, impacts happiness and satisfaction, and affects performance. The personality of your business is influenced by everything: leadership, management, workplace practices, policies, people, and more impact culture significantly.
We asked different professors, novelists, entrepreneurs on their opinions in terms of organizational culture and their thoughts on capturing the essence of an organization's culture.
What is organizational culture? Organizational culture refers to a system of shared meanings held by members that distinguishes the organization from other organizations. An organization's culture develops over many years and is rooted in deeply held values to which employees are strongly committed. Culture provides stability to an organization and gives employees a clear understanding of the way things are done around here. Culture sets the tone of how organizations operate and how individuals within the organization interact. Organizational culture is the pattern of shared values, beliefs, and assumptions considered to be the appropriate way to think and act within an organization. Now we have the 7 primary characteristics that seem to capture the essence of an organization's culture. First, we have innovation and risk-taking. This is the degree to which employees are encouraged to be innovative and take risks. Second, attention to detail. This is the degree to which employees are expected to exhibit precision, analysis, and attention to detail. Third, outcome orientation. This is the degree to which management focuses on results or outcomes rather than on the techniques and processes used to achieve them. Fourth, people orientation. This is a degree to which management decisions take into consideration the effect of outcomes on people within the organization. Fifth, team orientation. This is a degree to which work activities are organized around teams rather than individuals. Sixth, aggressiveness. This is a degree to which people are aggressive and competitive rather than easygoing. Seventh, stability. This is a degree to which organizational activities emphasize maintaining the status quo in contrast to growth. When individuals consider their organizations according to these 7 characteristics, they get a composite picture of the organization's culture. This picture becomes the basis for feelings of shared understanding that members have about the organization, how things are done in it, and the way members are supposed to behave.
Organizational culture shows how employees perceive the characteristics of an organization's culture, not whether they like them, that it's a descriptive term. This is important because it differentiates culture from job satisfaction.
It is often asked, do organizations have similar cultures? Organizations' cultures represents a common perception that organization members hold. We should therefore expect individuals with different backgrounds or different levels in the organizations describe its culture in similar terms. That doesn't mean, however, that there is no subcultures. Most large organizations have dominant culture and numerous subcultures. When we we say a dominant culture, it expresses the core values a majority of members share, and that gives the organizations its distinct personality. When we say subcultures, it tends to develop in a large organizations to reflect the common problems or experiences the members face in the same department or location. The purchasing department can have a subcultures that includes the core values of the dominant cultures, plus the additional values unique to the members of that department. If organizations were composed of numerous subcultures, organizational culture as an independent variable would be significantly less powerful. It is the shared meaning aspect of the culture that makes it such a potent device for providing and shaping behavior.
Strong culture. Organizations' core values are both intensely held and widely shared. The higher the number of members who accept the core values, the stronger its culture will be. When team managers and members disagree on perceptions of organizational support, there were more negative moods among team members and the performance of teams was lower.
What do cultures do? First, culture has a boundary defining role, and that is to create distinctions between one organization and others. Second, it conveys a sense of identity for organization members. Third, culture facilitates commitment to something larger than individual self-interest. Fourth, it enhances the stability of the social system. Culture is the social glue that helps hold the organization together by providing standards for what employees should say and do. Finally, it is a sense-making and control mechanism that guides and shapes employees' attitudes and behavior. This last function is of particular interest to us. Culture defines the rules of the game, creating an ethical organizational culture. The organizational culture most likely to shape high ethical standards among its members is high in risk tolerance, low to moderate aggressiveness, and focused on means as well as outcomes. This type of culture takes a long-term perspective and balances the rights of multiple stakeholders, including employees, stockholders, and the community. Managers are supported for taking risks and innovating, discouraged from engaging in unbridled competition, and guided to head not just to what goals are achieved, but also how. If the culture is strong and supports high ethical standards, it should have a very powerful and positive influence on employee behavior. Examples of organizations that have failed to establish proper codes of ethic conduct can be found in the media nearly every day. Some actively deceive customers or clients. Others produce products that harm consumers or the environment. Or they harass or discriminate against certain groups of employees. Others are more subtle and cover up or fail to report wrongdoing. The negative consequences of a systematic culture of unethical behavior can be severe and include customer boycotts, fines, lawsuits, and government regulation of an organization's practices. Now here is the question. What can managers do to create a more ethical culture? You need to be a visible role model. Employees will look to the actions of top management as a benchmark for appropriate behavior. Send a positive message. Communicate ethical expectations. Minimize ethical ambiguities by sharing an organizational code of ethics that states the organization's primary values and ethical rules employees must follow. Provide ethical training. Set up seminars, workshops, and training programs to reinforce the organization's standards of conduct. Clarify what practices are impermissible and address potential ethical dilemmas. Visibly reward ethical acts and punish unethical ones. Appraise managers on how their decisions measure up against the organization's code of ethics. Review the means as well as the ends. Visibly reward those who act ethically and conspicuously punish those who don't. Provide protective mechanisms. Provide formal mechanisms so employees can discuss ethical dilemmas and report unethical behavior without fear of reprimand. This might include ethical counselors, ombudsmen, or ethical officers.
National culture is the norms, behaviors, beliefs, customs, and values shared by the population of sovereign nation. It refers to specific characteristics such as language, religion, ethnic and racial identity, cultural history, and tradition. National culture differences can be expressed as values on a number of dimensions: power distance, masculinity femininity, individualism collectivism, and uncertainty avoidance. These dimensions can be quantified and provide country-specific profiles. It is important to recognize that A. Scores on these dimensions are statistical averages, with considerable individual variance and overlap with other national cultures. B. National profiles are useful in predicting behavior, but should not be used to prejudge and stereotype others. The behavior of the inhabitants of a nation is shaped by the values, beliefs, and cultural traditions that are common to them and which differ from other nation-states. So here we have Hofstede's 5 value dimensions. Number 1. Power distance describes the degree to which people in a country accept that power in institutions and organizations are distributed unequally. Individualism is the degree to which people prefer to act as individuals rather than as members of groups and believe in individual rights above all. Collectivism emphasizes a tight social framework in which people expect others in groups of which they are a part to look after them and protect them. Number 3. Masculinity is the degree to which the culture favors traditional masculine roles such as achievement, power, and control as opposed to viewing men and women as equal. A high femininity rating means the culture sees little differentiation between male and female roles and treats women as the equals of all men in all respects. Number 4. Uncertainty avoidance. The degree to which people in a country prefer structured over unstructured situations. Number 5. Long-term versus short-term orientation. This newest addition to Hofstede's typology measures a society's devotion to traditional values. People in a culture with long-term orientation look to the future and value thrift, persistence, and tradition. In a short-term orientation, people value the here and now. They accept change more readily and don't see commitments as impediments to change.
What is managing organizational change? Managing organizational change is a process of planning and implementing change in organizations in such way as to minimize employee resistance and the cost to the organization, while simultaneously maximizing the effectiveness of the change effort. Managing organizational change is complicated. Leaders must convince others how important change is. As a result, there are 7 approaches that leaders must use to successfully manage change in their organizations.
First is to put people first. Successful change management prioritizes people. People fuel change and sustain its momentum. Change initiatives fail when people don't
believe, don't understand, or engage in the change. Leaders accomplish this through proactive change management communication that creates a desire to change across the workforce. If people don't believe in the change and aren't motivated to act by others, change project will fail. Second, work with a chain management model. Leaders are up against company culture, organizational momentum, and human psychology when enacting change. To make change happen, they need the right tools to guide them. Change management models help leaders connect business strategy to action, which increases the likelihood of success. Third is empowerment employee through communication. Communication is an essential part of effectively managing organizational change. A vision for change is only as powerful as communication that supports it. Effective change management communication provides clarity for why the change is needed and mobilizes employees with a sense of urgency for the change. Companies fail to drive meaningful change when they fail to communicate. Next is activate leadership. Leadership's impact on change is well understood. The problem is that many leaders don't understand the vital role they play in change. Leaders must be responsible for achieving change goals from the start until the very end. A leader must help the organization understand and interpret what the change means for their teams, the organization, and the marketplace. Next is make change compelling and exciting. Employees can better understand the rationale behind the change when organizations prioritize clear and consistent communication. This target communication strategy provides the context to understand the why and what of the change. Effective communication answers the most important question people are thinking, like, what does this mean to me? How will this impact my work? With a deeper, clearer understanding of change, employees are much more likely to ask, how can I help? Next is pay attention to high and low point in momentum. There will be high and low points during change initiatives. Leaders can proactively manage and leverage this point in time. During the high points of change, leaders should celebrate wins to fuel momentum. At the low points, leaders can reset communication strategies to listen to employees' input and build trust and support. Being proactive helps leaders manage momentum for the greatest success. And lastly, don't ignore resistance. Change resistance is poisonous to an organization's transformation. Resistance is much easier to counter when it's identified earlier. Leaders should pay attention to the signs of change resistance, including inaction, procrastination, withholding information, and the spread of rumors. Communication is the key to identify resistance. Create feedback loops with employees like surveys, feedback channels, and input sessions to proactively identify signs of resistance and then take fast actions.
Global implication. Organizational culture is so powerful, it often transcends national boundaries. But that doesn't mean organizations should or could ignore local culture. Organizational cultures often reflect national culture. Employees form an overall subjective perception of the organization based on factors such as degree of risk tolerance, team emphasis, and support of people. This overall perception becomes, in effect, the organization's culture or personality and affects employee performance and satisfaction, with stronger cultures having greater impacts. One of the most important managerial implications of organizational cultures relates to selection decisions. Hiring individuals whose values don't align with those of the organization is likely to yield employees who lack motivation and commitment, and who are dissatisfied with their jobs and the organization. Not surprisingly, misfits have considerably higher turnover rates. An employee's performance also depends to a considerable degree on knowing what to do and not to do. Understanding the right way to do a job indicates proper socialization. As a manager, you can shape the culture of your work environment sometimes as much as it shapes you. All managers can especially do their part to create an ethical culture.